off-Broadway productions, and a lot of people, very talented people out there.
Amazingly talented.
It's just incredible. It's just, I know a lot of friends, a lot of actors, a lot of producers, writers, Barefoot Theater Company, Francisco Solórzano. I mean, those guys are so talented in Victoria. I just went to a reading quite a few weeks ago with Francisco Solórzano, Ethan Hawke, and Chris Cooper. And it's just, it's so much work. The Storm Theater, just to give you an example. I mean, there's so many incredible talent out there. I mean, do you want to cover everybody? Because I feel that all those groups, they need more attention, Jeremy.
Well, that's it. I mean, there's never, you know, I sometimes think to myself, like when I go to one of these readings where there aren't any of the big names performing, and particularly, you know, particularly like with musical theater, you know, and you'll hear these amazing singing voices, people you've never heard of, and you just think, wow, you know, and it's every week there are people like that doing that, which tells you how difficult the profession is for an actor, you know, because there's so much talent out there.
Right.
But the ones who stick to it, and you know, so if you have talent, if you stick to it, and if you're willing to put yourself out there and market yourself, you can make it. But it, you know, obviously it's tough.
It's tough.
But I have an incredible respect for anyone who puts themselves, you know, up on a stage like that or in front of a camera like that.
Right. We're crazy to a certain degree, Jeremy.
Oh yeah.
We have to be. I mean, let's face it. I know that we have to be. This is not it's like Ellen Burstyn said at the Actors Studio a long time ago. I remember that she said in session on a Tuesday, she said, guys, what we do is not normal.
Right.
This is not normal. And we have different lives. And the worst part, no, the greatest part, I guess, that we cannot make a living in the beginning, that we got to do 1,000 jobs. I mean, actors, we go through so much. Right. Right? Playwrights, producers, directors. But I think there's so much talent out there and so many different voices that we love to see all these producers going to see all this work. Go to see all these amazing actors. You know, I have so many actors, Jeremy. I mean, I sound like an agent now. I'm not trying to sell, but I said, my God, there's so many. Yeah. There's so many. Michael Aronoff comes to my mind. I don't know if you know him, but he's a great actor. Member of the Actors Studio. He will be a star, and I'm saying it to you now. Okay, Francisco Solórzano, and I can keep going. Angelica Torn, member of the studio, Gina Bonatti, and I can keep going. And it's like, I guess the actors to a certain degree, it's like we have to be as tough as we can be because it's not, it doesn't rely only exclusively with the agent. You got to do the work. The world is changing, right? It's getting smaller to a certain degree.
Oh yeah, and actors know, I mean, it's not about getting, I mean, you know, you want to have an agent.
Right.
But it's not about, it's about the work.
It's about the work.
And even when you have an agent, you still have to do the marketing work yourself. It's not like, you know, you know, unless you're, you know, Tom Cruise or somebody like that. I mean, you know, the agent's not just going to pick up the phone and have things for you.
But it's exciting.
Oh, I mean, look, why would you do it if you didn't feel that way? You know, I mean, it has to be that sort of thing where you're, you know, you wake up in the morning and you're excited what you're going to be spending your day doing. Right. And life's too short not to approach it that way.
No, Jeremy, let me, your eyes. I'm looking at your eyes now.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, you can see that I'm listening to you too, right? Yep. I'm not just doing that, I'm listening to you.
She is.
I am. How do you smell a hit? When you go to see a play, a production, how do you know that you have, this is great work. How do you sense it? How do you smell it?
I mean, I think on some level there's a certain part of it that is instinctual. You know, I mean, and part of that is because if you're not reacting to it emotionally, then there's something missing.
Okay, I like that answer.
So that
it's got to create something in you internally.
There has to be something in me. It's more likely to come out when you're seeing it than when you're reading it. Okay. But you know, someone who's in this field should develop over time that expertise of having a sense when they're reading something on the page, whether it has that. Now, you can get into, excuse me, specific structural things that you're looking for in a piece. I personally tend to be driven by character-driven pieces. Okay. I just, you know, if it's, you know, I want to connect with a character, I want to see what that story is, and it could be multiple characters, but I want to, you know, I want to have that, you know, that sense of what a character is going through.
The journey.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, but beyond that, there's just, you know, it's figuring out all those different pieces. And sometimes what's difficult is the people that are closest to creating it. It's the old forest through the tree syndrome.
Right.
you get so wound up in it that sometimes you're missing kind of the obvious piece of it, which is why it sometimes is helpful when someone who's not involved with the project can kind of come in and see it. And
of course,
say,
you need it, yeah.
And you say it. But honestly, it's like the old saying goes, the old line about, well, I know it's pornography when I see it. Well, I know it, I know it's brilliant when I see it.
Right.
And there are so many different forms of brilliance. I mean, I'm not someone who works in just one genre within theater.
Right.
And I have two basic criteria for whether I will think about getting involved in a project.
Right.
It has to work for me creatively. I have to, and I have to think there's creative talent behind it. And I have to think that I'm a commercial theater producer, so I have to also think that there's a viable financial model that will enable this to actually be successful from a business standpoint.
Marketing and strategy all go together.
Right, but the strategy comes afterwards. You have to at least start by saying, is this a commercially viable project?
Okay.
Now,
it's kind of hard to tell sometimes.
Of course
you don't
it
know.
is. Of course it is. And when it's in the early stage,
right.
all you're doing is, you're placing your bets at that stage, and you're hoping that it's going to turn into something that meets what your expectations may be. And in all likelihood, it's going to take a lot of turns, many of them 90 degrees, sometimes 180 degrees.
360 degrees.
And, and sometimes nothing may come of it. But hopefully it will. And again, that's why it's not just about, is there a creative brilliance behind it, but, who are the people that are creating it?
Right.
And are these people that I may want to spend the next, not just months, but potentially years working with on a project.
Right, and you had 3 plays, 3 productions, right?
I have, I don't have anything that's up and running right now. I'm working on 5 theater projects right now.
5 theater, okay.
And the ones that are most imminent, one is a rock musical comedy, which I produced at the New York Musical Theater Festival over a year ago, where it was a big hit, won lots of awards, great audience response. But the writers and I agreed that we could take a good, a really solid thing and make it better. So a lot of work's been done on it since, and now we're bringing it down to DC this summer, and it has the subtle title, I can say it, we're on public access, Fucking Up Everything.
Oh God, I love that. I love that title. That's a great title. You know how many open doors? Yes, of course.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's, and just a fun show with great music. David Eric Davis, who wrote the music and the lyrics, and he and Sam Foreman, who co-wrote the book. Just brilliant people that just had, basically what started as a fun idea for a show that it's, that turned into something that got better and better and better. And I think we've made it even better than that. So if anyone listening happens to be down in D.C. this summer from July 15th through August 14th, we'll be at the Woolly Mammoth Theater Company. And tickets not quite on sale yet, but they will be shortly.
They will be shortly.
So that's one of my babies.
Okay.
Another project I'm working on, which is not one of my babies, but where I've joined someone else's producing team, to help raise money to put the show up, is something I'm very excited about, which is the stage version of The King's Speech.
Great movie.
It was written as a play.
Yes.
Before it was ever a movie.
Before it was a movie.
And as anyone who watched the Oscars knows, when Tom Hooper got up to accept his award for Best Director, he profusely thanked his mother because several years ago she attended a reading of this play and called him up and said, I just found your next movie.
It's wonderful. I think it's the cast and Jeffrey Rush and Colin Firth and all of them. But
it's a great movie. But so Michael Alden, who is the person who's putting this project together, had sent me the script back, I guess it was last summer, before the movie came out. And I've only been doing theater for a few years, as you know, but it was easily the best new play I had read since I had been doing theater. And
why is so good? I haven't read the play.
Okay.
What makes the play so good?
It's, first of all, it's a subject matter that's different than, it's about someone's speech impediment.
Right.
But not just anyone. Someone who's now in position to become the King of England, as World War II is looming, as Hitler and Mussolini are stirring up the crowds, and how could it be that the person who's like the primary spokesperson of the United Kingdom is someone who can't speak publicly. So I mean, that was just an amazing story in and of itself. But then there's the talent of the writing behind it. And as you probably know, David Seidler's worked on this for many, many years. And it wasn't until after after the Queen Mom had died that he finally had permission to go ahead and do this play, basically, which then became the movie. So the play's never actually been produced as a play. And the plan now is to bring it to regional production in the United Kingdom, then London, and then Broadway would be the next step. So
who's in your mind, let's say, for the King?
Oh,
Colin Firth, man of my dreams. I'm sorry to break your heart, Jeremy. But boy, he's one of those men that I see him in Pride and Prejudice a long time ago, and I like, oh my God, he's the ideal.
Oh yeah.
He is the ideal man.
No, it was. I mean, it was a wonderful movie.
Yeah.
And obviously has all the awards and accolades to prove it. But great movies also begin with great scripts.
Right.
And that's what the play is. The play is a great
story,
script.
Great play.
And if you think about the dynamic between Bertie and Logue, put that on a stage in front of a live audience, that dynamic, I mean, it could be magical.
Yeah.
It really could be magical.
Those lines, it makes it official then. Geoffrey Rush, when they're going over the lines. Yeah. I mean, it's like, to me, Geoffrey Rush is a genius.
Oh, yeah, he's great. He's brilliant.
He's a genius.
Yeah.
He's one of those actors that you see him every, I don't know, you don't see Geoffrey Rush every single day. You don't see Ben Kingsley every single day. Those kind of actors, they just come.
Right, but I would see them in anything they do.
Right, of course,
yeah,
of course.
Absolutely, yeah. So those are the two that are like the most active. But like any producer, I have other things in the pipeline. I have a wonderfully fun show called Cruel Shoes.
I remember that one. And Betty Buckley, I read that name.
Well, that was a past show.
That
was
past
White
show.
Flies, which we did a year ago.
She's so good.
Yeah, she was a trip.
She looks like a trip, right?
Yeah, she's great. And we had a great cast for that. We had Tug Watkins, Peter Scolari, Kristen Carlson Romano.
All these great actors.
Yeah, they're terrific actors. Really, really fun show. So Cruel Shoes were written by David Simpatico, who adapted High School Musical 1 and 2 for Disney, among other great projects, and Ross Patterson, who did the music. I call it kind of a modern-day Sweeney Todd with a little bit of Little Shop of Horrors thrown in. It's the tender story of a Midwestern chorus boy who comes to New York to become a star, and then through his transgender multiple personalities, murders his way to the top. So
that's interesting.
So it's a big fun, sort of almost cartoon-like characters.
I like that. Are we out? I can't believe this. You see, Jeremy? When?
You weren't kidding. Half an hour went by.
You see? It went so fast. I guess we'll see you next week. Yeah. How come? And why? Jeremy, it's 8 o'clock.
Well, there you go.
Are you happy you came by?
Yeah.
You did? You don't regret it? You're having fun? Rebecca?
Of course I'm happy.
I mean, everybody out there, Gloria Messer, Danny, my boy, AJ Vasquez. I want to say thank you to everybody. This is crazy. You see,